Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Dill, Coach Sark, the Texas Longhorns have not been a program that have generated a ton of national media buzz with what they've done in the transfer portal. But you look at the players that they've brought in, I think they're one of the big winners of the transfer portal offseason. They land another one in former San Jose State cornerback Javion Cole, a guy that, I'll be the first one to admit, don't watch a ton of San Jose State football, but we heard there was a lot of buzz around this kid, went back, watched him in a few games, primarily in that USC game, and you can tell why a lot of Power 5 programs wanted a cat like Javion Cole, a massive commitment for the Texas Longhorns. Want to get into Javion Cole, talk about what he brings to this Longhorns defense, but more importantly, talk about the work that they've done in the portal over the last couple of months. Before we get into it, and as always, just want to say thank you to you guys. There has been just an overwhelming amount of support for the transfer portal, and we've had a blast breaking them down. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the fellas. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Dill, I know you buzzed Javion Cole specifically in that USC game. What does Javion Cole bring to the Texas Longhorns?
I think one thing that stood out is his comfortability with the ball in the air and his ability to keep guys in front of him and not give up big plays against a team that had their moments of being very explosive and had a lot of talented wideouts in what USC had. So I think, again, you kind of look at where Texas had their moments of weakness on defense. It did feel like you go to that Washington game, even at moments in that Oklahoma State game where they were giving up deep passes and their corners weren't necessarily playing the ball incredibly well in the air. I think he has some of those abilities to, again, help bolster their secondary in some areas of need, possibly.
And you take a look at the numbers, there's two things that I absolutely love about Javion Cole. One, ton of experience. So he's only going into his third year of college football, has played over 1,100 snaps, has faced 90 targets, only giving up 45 catches. And the two numbers that I want to really highlight, one, the longest play in coverage that he gave up in 2023 was 28 yards. And you look at where Texas might have struggled on defense at times in 2023, one of the best defenses in the country, giving up the big play through the air. Javion Cole just did not do that in only his second year of college football. I think the second thing you're looking at, 7 interceptions in his first 2 years of college football. You look at what made Texas really dangerous on the defensive side of the football, 1.7 turnovers per game. That was top 25 in the country. In Javion Cole, you get a ball-hawking cornerback that just seems to get his hands on a lot of footballs. And one other thing that I'd note, Dale, 5'10", 175, you turn on the film, one, doesn't look like 5'10". More importantly, those arms are extremely long. I think at first you say, oh, was he going to kick into nickel for the Texas Longhorns? You turn on the film and say, no, this kid can play boundary at a very high level. And you look at this cornerback room for the Longhorns that start to feel really good about what they have heading into 2024 here.
I know you lose Terrence Brooks, but like you look, obviously with Muhammad, he looks like the guy. He looks so good. I was going back in that Washington game even. Just incredibly athletic, really good sense of the game. And then obviously you have a Gavin Holmes who I think kind of flies under the radar. And again, you Wake Forest graduate, You know he can play. I thought he had a pretty good season last year. Really solid. And then obviously you bolster it with Javion Cole along with a handful of young guys who I think we're all really excited about. So again, I think at the end of the day, Texas knows that the one thing that has to get better, it's going to be that secondary. It's going to be limiting big plays. I think he comes in, adds more depth, adds more even competition possibly for that number 2 corner spot. Yeah. And that's what you're looking for.
And I love what they've done in the secondary because you look at the cornerback spot, and we're going to get into this in a little bit, but you look at where Texas needed to get better. They've used the transfer portal at those spots. What did Texas want in the cornerback room, especially with the guy like Terrence Brooks hitting the transfer portal? Some experience, right? We love the young talent in this cornerback room. Not a ton of guys that have played a lot of football. You look at Javion Cole, again, only going into year 3, has played over 1,100 snaps at the college football level. You look at the back end, you bring in one of the more experienced safeties in the country, and Andrew Makuba, who, in my mind, probably would have been a day 2 pick had he gone to the NFL draft. I love how Texas is using the transfer portal. Now, before we get into that, I do want to just highlight Javion Cole, right? Bottom of your screen, one-on-one with Kyron Hudson, and you look at what Texas, and Dale, you noted this, really struggled with in the back end of the defense was playing the football in the air. Javion Cole during this rep checks off a lot of boxes in terms of what you're looking for with your boundary cornerbacks. One, you see the long speed running with Ware Hudson down the field. Two, you see the length putting hands on wide receivers. And then three, ball skills. You see so many quarterbacks, all right, I'll stay in the hip pocket of the wide receiver. When that ball's in the air, I sometimes panic, either pass interferences, not playing the ball right. Javion Cole in phase, extremely composed, just going up, using that bigger frame that he has. Again, does not look 5'10" on the football field, going up at the catch point, making a play on the football. That's got to be massive to see for you if you're a Texas Longhorn fan, because how many times did you see your Texas cornerbacks, hey, I'm in phase, I'm athletic enough to run with wide receivers. When that ball's in the air, I'm not great at it. Javion Cole, elite ball skills when that football's in the air.
And again, you think about that Big 12 championship game. That was the only thing and obviously it wasn't a particularly close game because Texas is a far better team than Oklahoma State. But that was the only thing kind of keeping Oklahoma State in it for a little bit. And again, you even just note the mechanics, like just super comfortable, looks back, gets his eyes on the football and goes up and plays it, but isn't being grabby, isn't getting his hands, or isn't even venturing in the neighborhood of getting a pass interference play. And that to me, it's so crucial. And I feel like everyone, like you can tell the athleticism for certain corners, and you need to have it. That's table stakes. But if you're going to be really good, you got to be able to make those plays. You got to be able to prevent those deep balls from being a problem consistently. And again, we kind of read off the stats. You see the tape. You just kind of get the feeling that you can be comfortable with what Javion Cole.
We talk about this all the time. You see a ton of juiced up cornerbacks coming from the high school ranks. Sometimes there's a reason they're playing the cornerback spot. They don't have them ball skills. You see that on the film. A guy like Javion Cole, very comfortable with the football in the air. Another thing that I want to dig into, and this kind of goes past Javion Cole, is what has Texas done in the transfer portal? Again, this is only their 10th commitment in the portal. We all have the teams in mind that have just grabbed as many guys as they can. That's a thing that doesn't normally work out. You look at the Texas Longhorns, they did not need to go to the transfer portal and grab a ton of guys. The thing that I want to focus on is, one, the quality of player that they're bringing in, very, very high. But number two, it's at the positions they needed to get better. And you take a look at how you should be using the transfer portal in this era of college football. You certainly should be using the transfer portal. I think everybody knows that by now. But how do you want to use it? You want to identify the cracks in your roster, the parts of your roster that you want to improve, and then go get quality players to fill those cracks. You look at Texas, one of the biggest needs that they had was replacing a ton of wide receiver production. They go get Silas Bolden, Isaiah Bond, Matthew Golden, massive check at the pass catch. You could probably throw in Amari Niblack as well. You look at another question they had on the inside of the defensive line. They go out and grab a guy like Bill Norton, who has played a ton of football during his collegiate career, and then add some experience into the back end of that Texas Longhorns defense. Yes, they've brought in a high quality of player, but more importantly, they're bringing in the high quality players at the positions they needed to address heading into 2024. I don't know if there's a program that has used the transfer portal more effectively than Texas Longhorns during this offseason.
No, and I know we've said it a million times if you've listened to us. When you recruit the high school level at a really high level, you just don't have the need to hit the portal in the way that you maybe see in Ole Miss or a Colorado or some of these other, or Florida State even. Some of these teams that go grab 20-plus guys in a cycle. I mean, when you're Texas Longhorns, like, you're close. You'd be close with just your high school recruiting and the way they're starting to develop guys. So, again, to just add those pieces, like Makuba is the one that stands out to me. You needed experience. You love the talent you have in that safety room, but you saw moments, like you think back to that Houston game, Washington game, some of those games, like you just wanted a little more experience, a little less of that, or some guy to kind of control the middle of the field a little more effectively. You go get a guy in Makuba who's done it at such a high level for a long time at Clemson. It's just like filling those spots in, but not necessarily running your guys out or making it a team that like filters in and out each year where it's a new team. You still have the core nucleus of what you're going to do, and then you just add a piece or two in the spots you need to do it.
And you look at the margins for the Texas Longhorns, like, you make no mistake about it. That was one of the best teams in college football. More importantly, on a singular night, might have been the best team in college football, right? And you talk about the margins. We're trying to find that 1%. The Texas Longhorns certainly do that at a high level. We'll close it out on that. Again, the Texas Longhorns, I think, using the portal at a high level. Javion Cole, massive commitment. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys again. Can't thank you guys enough. If y'all do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We'll talk to y'all later.